All right, welcome back to another episode here at YourEggs. Supporting couples from all over the world, not just in the United States or Canada, but internationally all over the world is something that we find very important here at YourEggs and something that we do regularly. So today in this video, we're going to be covering everything having to do with international egg donation, or more importantly, if you are a couple who live in another country outside of the United States and you want to use an egg donor on your fertility journey, we're going to be giving you all the ins and outs on how you can do that and why it's important in this video. So keep watching to learn more. All right, so as we get into it, as you all can see, I've got my guest here today, Dion, here from YourEggs, and we're going to be having a conversation to educate everybody about international egg donation or using an egg donor if you are an intended parent or a couple internationally and how that works. So thanks so much for joining me today, Dion.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. And as you said, we do have many patients traveling internationally to use a donor egg from YourEggs and to come to different fertility centers across the United States in order to build their family.
That's great. And it's really such an important topic because there's all sorts of regulations or different laws internationally. Before we get into some of those things, why would a couple in another country want to look for an egg donation agency in the United States? Like, how can it benefit them, and how do we serve those communities?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a big part of that goes back to the international laws vary so widely from country to country. And here in the United States, we are very fortunate to have very liberal laws when it comes to egg donation. For example, in many countries throughout Europe and China, Norway, Italy, Germany, Austria, egg donation is completely illegal.
Completely illegal.
Completely illegal. So they can't use an egg donor at all. And then there's other countries where they can use an egg donor, but they're not allowed to compensate the egg donor in any way.
So an egg donor in whatever those other countries,
like France.
Okay, France. France has egg donation laws that someone can donate their eggs, but they cannot receive financial compensation in any way. Why would someone be an egg donor in that situation?
Lucky enough to have a sister, cousin, or a really great friend who would donate eggs for you without any compensation, then they do allow it. So, they're able to, unlike some of the other countries where they, even if they had, we're fortunate enough to have a friend willing to donate their eggs, they can't even do it in many countries.
So let's be clear for all of our viewers. In the United States, someone who does donate their eggs gets compensated for that in general.
In general, and of course we do also have people here who are having a friend or a cousin and may or may not compensate them. But here it is completely legal, and and we work all of that out for all of the intended parents coming to YourEggs and the donors coming here as well. And most people are generally compensated here who are donating their eggs to intended parents.
So it's a big part, because of that, it's become a bigger part of the fertility process in the United States or in other countries that do allow it. It's become a bigger part of that process, right?
Yes, definitely, because there are many couples who do turn to egg donation, for, as we've discussed previously, many different reasons, multiple failed IVF cycles, or maybe some genetic reasons, especially on the women's side, that they would need a donor egg.
Okay, yeah, and we've covered a lot of those topics in previous videos, and you could search our YouTube channel for a lot of those videos that go into this topic a little bit more in detail. We can also link those down below in the description. Are there, while we're talking about international laws and so forth, are there other restrictions or areas that we should, or someone listening should consider and take into account when they're considering or wanting to use an egg donor, but they are outside of the United States?
Yeah, so even when it comes to fertility treatments, we're talking about IVF, which is used, with egg donor IVF as well. But even with IVF in general, once you have the embryos, you're not allowed to do genetic testing in many countries in Europe.
Oh.
In some of them you are. For example, in the UK and Spain, you can do genetic testing on your own embryos from your own eggs and your own sperm. But in many other countries in Europe, you're not allowed to do any genetic testing of the embryos. So they're basically going into the transfer blind.
Whatsoever.
Yes.
Okay. And you said something, and these are specific words you use, so I want to be clear, right, for everybody.
Yeah.
You said in some of those countries, they could only do it on their genetic embryos. So
Yes.
if they were using a donor in those countries, could they do genetic testing on those embryos?
Well, many of these countries, they're not even allowed to use donors. So yes, as we were talking about, many countries don't allow even genetic testing of embryos, in addition to not allowing egg donation. So it makes it much harder going into a transfer, not knowing the genetics, and it can be heartbreaking for a family who's waited so long to have their baby, and then to have multiple transfers, before they get the genetically healthy embryo. Where here in the United States, they can do the PGTA testing and know that they are transferring a healthy embryo into the mom-to-be.
Yeah, and for people listening, you might think, well, that might not be a big deal in terms of genetic testing. And for some individuals, it's not important for them, for some couples. But in general, someone who has had multiple failed cycles or multiple losses, that piece of genetic testing is an important piece for them to work into their fertility process. So, that's something that they do need to take into account. And I know that some couples, it's really important for them, as they're going through this fertility journey, it's really important for them to go through it and be able to select a specific gender of a baby, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But some countries don't allow you to do that either.
Many countries don't. It's not allowed in Denmark, France, Germany, many other countries in Europe. It's also not allowed in Canada, the sex selection.
Got it.
So
okay.
it is nice for people, because if they already have to do IVF, it's nice to be able to have these options as well and know that you're transferring a genetically healthy embryo, and to maybe even build sex selection into their family planning.
Yeah, absolutely. With the database that we have of donors at YourEggs,
Yes.
are there specific, cultural backgrounds or ethnicities that that we work more with, or certain countries that we have more of a connection with to help support those couples there looking for egg donors?
Yeah, we absolutely have a very large database, over 2,400 donors in the database from many different backgrounds. Many of them are from the United States, but then they come from different countries. Whether they were born here or born somewhere else and moved here. We have people from Asia, Southeast Asia, all over Europe, and and then people from South America. So we definitely have a diverse population for people to choose from, regardless of what country they're coming from.
And we actually have a team right now from our agency in Asia, working with couples, reaching out to couples currently. As we're talking, they're actually there in Asia, working with couples to support them on their fertility journey. And that's a big part of what we do, because the members of our team do speak a variety of Asian languages to support those couples there and be able to reach out to them and bring them here to the United States to give them some of the egg donors that we have here, right?
Yeah, and take advantage of all the opportunities here in the United States.
So do you have, I love sharing stories and I love hearing stories.
Yes.
I'm sure all of you love hearing stories. So do you have a story from a couple who we supported internationally that helped, that was successful using our agency?
Yeah, absolutely. We have many stories, but recently we had a couple from Germany. We do have many people coming from Europe, because as we talked about, the laws are much more stringent over there. So we had a couple coming from Germany who had 6 failed IVF cycles in Germany.
6.
Yeah, 6 failed cycles there. And then they did come to a center in the United States to continue to try again using their own eggs, with doing genetic testing. And then they had 3 more failed cycles here in the United States before coming to egg donation. So they had a very long journey before they made the decision to look for an egg donor. They found a wonderful donor who was actually from Germany originally, and had moved here when she was young. And they, on the very first cycle, they had 4 genetically healthy embryos.
4.
Yes, 4 genetically healthy embryos, and they did a transfer here. And then, she is, I think, about 18 weeks pregnant.
Fantastic.
Yeah, right now, and very excited and planning on coming back for baby number two. Yes, later. So it's wonderful when people, they do go through so much, and then it makes it that much more exciting when they get to this point. But, as we've talked about before, the success rate with donor eggs is so high, usually over 85% with just one cycle. So it is amazing for people who have already had a long journey to be able to have that kind of success.
Yeah, making that decision, at least in this couple's sense, I feel like gave them some peace of mind that even though we've struggled so much, that we're going to be successful moving forward. It gave them the courage to move forward because they knew that they would be successful in a short period of time. So that's wonderful to hear. So there are many reasons why couples from other countries, whether it's Germany or where other places in Europe or Asia, might be seeking an egg donor and want to come to the United States, whether it's connecting with someone who's culturally or ethnically similar to them and what they're looking for, whether it's educational background, they're looking for someone with certain educational requirements or whatnot, health reasons as well. Does the couple always have to travel to the United States and work with a clinic here to use our agency?
Yeah, that's a great question because, as we said, we do work with centers all over the United States, but we also work with centers internationally. So depending on what country they're in and what the regulations are there, we can also work with couples at their fertility center, for example, in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously not in Germany, but in countries that allow it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So we absolutely do, and that gives more options to the intended parents.
And so in that situation, the donor would be traveling to that country and to work with them in that clinic, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if we have, if there's a couple who does find a donor that they like and we already have their eggs frozen here, can we transport those frozen embryos or eggs, excuse me, those frozen eggs internationally to whatever country that they are living in?
Yes. Again, it depends on the regulations of the country, but if it is, if it is legal in that particular country, we can definitely do that, and we do ship both eggs and embryos can be shipped internationally along with sperm, which is also
valuable.
Yes. Also an important part.
It's a necessary part. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining. And more importantly, thank you all of you for joining us on this episode. I hope that you found this information useful. I know that I did. And now I want to hear from all of you. What piece of information that Dion shared with us was valuable to you on your journey to a family? Comment below and let us know. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber to our YouTube channel, please subscribe so that you can get notified when we put out another video for all of you. And if you want more information on YourEggs and how we can support you on your journey to starting your family or expanding your family, then please visit us at YourEggs.com. All that information is going to be put in the description below as well. We'll see you in the next video.